I'm Kimberly Jolly in the Fat Quarter Shop studio with Sherri McConnell, and she is going to show us this fabulous pincushion that she designed for us. Tell me about it.
I love pincushions and I take them everywhere I go, and this is just a really fast and fun little pincushion, and it's even cuter with your twill tape ribbon.
So what you need to make this is you need some scraps of fabric. You're going to need 10 1.5-inch squares, and you can get that from your scraps, a charm pack, or a mini charm pack. For your top, you will need a 2.5 by 5.5-inch rectangle. For your back, you need a 4.5 by 5.5-inch rectangle, and we use the wonderful little ruby flannel on the back, and wool or fleece works really good on the back, something a little bit heavier. And then tell me about what this is.
This is the Pellon fusible fleece.
Okay.
And we're just going to put a layer of that under the top of our pincushion.
Okay, and that's also 4.5 by 5.5. And at Fat Quarter Shop, we have this wonderful ribbon, and it has lots of cute sayings. So we use the cute as a button to put right in the center, which adds that perfect embellishment. And for the inside, we're using walnut bird litter. You get it at the pet store, and you have to buy these gigantic bags. But I mean, we can make like 100 pincushions with this. So let me show you how we're going to make this.
Okay. You're going to start by choosing 10 1.5-inch by 1.5-inch squares and sewing them together. And I've got them sewn in 2 rows of 5 squares each, and I press the seams open between the squares, and I also press the seams open between the 2 rows. So press well, and when you're sewing with these tiny pieces, it helps if you use starch on the fabric before you even cut it out. The next step that you're going to do is you're going to take your 2.5-inch by 5.5-inch rectangle, and you're going to sew it to your square set. And this time we're going to press the seam toward the 2.5-inch by 5.5-inch rectangle. We used Aurifil thread while making this pincushion, and the next step is actually a really fun step. We get to add our cute Fat Quarter Shop twill ribbon to embellish. The Fat Quarter Shop ribbon comes on a card, and it has lots of cute sayings. Stitched with love, cute as a button, to you from me. So you can choose whichever saying that you want to use to embellish your cute as a button pincushion. Once you decide on the saying that you want to use, just kind of lay it out over the fabric. And I just used a rotary cutter to cut it. I left a little bit extra in case anything shifted while I was sewing, but I'm just going to cut a little bit on this side.
So we're going to go to the sewing machine, and we're going to top stitch. Tell me about the stitches that we're going to be doing.
Okay, so we're going to lay the ribbon so that it just barely covers that seam between the rectangle and the square set. And so we're going to lay so the bottom of the ribbon just barely covers that seam. And we're going to just do 1/8 of an inch from the edge on the bottom and 1/8 of an inch from the edge on the top. I am going to secure it with a few pins.
Let's go to the sewing machine. So what's our next step?
Okay, the next step is to use our Pellon fusible fleece. I'd like to put just a little layer of fusible fleece under the top of my pincushions. It just gives it an extra nice finished look. So we have the square that's cut, the rectangle that's cut the same size as our top, and we're going to fuse it. The fleece has, the glue side has a rougher dot finish, and the back side without the glue is smooth. So make sure that you have the dot rough side facing up. And I actually like to do this from the back. I don't want to take any chance of getting any of this residue from the glue on the iron, and so I'm actually going to fuse it from the back side.
And can you use steam, or do you use steam when you use?
You can use steam with fusible fleece. It's a really good product. It'll fuse together very quickly. And so there we just have a nice little finish to our pincushion top.
Okay, let's move to the next step.
Okay, the next step is to trim the edges, just to make sure we have everything lined up really straight. And I'm just going to use this small ruler and a rotary cutter to just trim. And at this time, on this end, I can even up the ribbon with the edge. And one more trim. Okay, so we have the pincushion top all trimmed and ready to go. We're going to sew it to the flannel bottom, and we're going to leave an opening to stuff our pincushion, and I'm going to leave that opening here on the 2.5 inch by 5.5 inch rectangle. That way there won't be any seams to worry about, and it'll be much easier. We're going to pin together, and you notice the back is just a touch bigger, and that's a good thing. You don't want your back to be smaller than your front. We're going to pin, and when I sew, I'm actually going to use this dark thread so that you can see a little hint that I have to show about when you sew these seams.
So Sherri, show me the next step.
Okay, we're to the fun part. We're ready to turn our pincushion, and first I want to point out the tip that we told you we were going to show. We did the stitching with the contrasting thread so you can see. We left a little bit, about a 2.5 inch opening, and instead of just back stitching at the opening, I actually stitched down with a 90-degree angle on both sides and back stitched as well. But this will make it a lot easier to turn the pincushion inside out. You'll just have a clearly defined place to turn it.
And then where are you going to clip before you turn this out?
Okay, we're going to clip all of the corners so that we can eliminate that bulk. And I'm just going to kind of grade the seam and cut it closely there so that we get that extra fabric out of the corners.
And it looks kind of like a long V. You're just cutting kind of to the seam but not through it.
Right. And be careful not to cut all the way through the seam.
Because like nobody's ever really done that, right?
Right. So, and you can see from the little scraps that we're taking a lot of bulk out of those corners. It'll make our pincushion look a lot neater. Okay, so we've got all those trimmings. We've trimmed the pincushion, and now we're going to turn it inside out.
And so we're gonna use that purple thing, which is really a very popular seller at the Fat Quarter Shop, but I've never seen it used. So I would love to know how to use it.
Okay, yeah, it's a great tool for turning, and it helps you get that last little bit of the corner pushed out that you need to push out to get that sharp point.
And there's two different sides. Do you have a preference?
It kind of just depends on the project. I'll use I generally use the smaller end.
The smaller kind of pointy,
Yeah.
curved point.
Right, and it just seems to really get the point out. Using the pointed end of the purple thing really seems to be able to push the point all the way out.
Yeah, I've never used it, so I'm definitely going to have to try that notion. I wondered why it was so popular, and now I can see.
Yeah, it's a great little tool. So we've got the corner just about pulled out, and now I'm going to show you that tip. When you go to turn your edges, we now have just a real natural kind of way to turn it.
It kind of forms the seam allowance for you.
It forms a seam allowance for you. There's no guessing about where to turn or where to press. And so the next step now is to give the pincushion a great pressing.
So it's going to look really nice and flat when you press it. And now we're going to move on and fill it with our walnut seeds. So we've put our crushed walnut litter in our little pitcher that we're going to use. So why do you use walnut litter?
It's just a great pincushion filling. I like it because it gives a little weight to the pincushion too. You don't want your pincushion to go flying off your table, and this just makes it sit where it's put.
Yeah, and they're just little tiny grains. So sometimes it's good to do this with 2 people. So I'm going to just hold that open.
Okay. And I usually like to put in a little bit at a time and then check and see, push it into all the corners, and then add a little bit more as we go along.
Because if you do that, then you can add more and more, and you're going to get a really stuffed pincushion rather than one that
right.
is
You
lumpy.
don't want it understuffed and you don't want it overstuffed. So just add it little by little and see how it's filling out your pincushion. We're almost there, I think.
And so when you get to the top, do you just kind of start pushing them in the corner?
Sometimes I'll pick it up and kind of see what I think. I think we can add a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And you can use a funnel for this or anything with a nice tip at the top.
Yeah, we have to make sure it gets into the sides.
So once you have it nice and full, we're going to just, we'll kind of push it all in, and then we're going to do a really nice tight hand stitch
Right.
to close it up.
Right.
Thank you so much for showing us this cute as a button pincushion.
You're welcome. I think they turned out really cute.
Yeah, I love it. It's just a quick 1-hour project, and they're super cute, and you can make them for retreats or for your friends. You know, if you're going to go to a retreat with your friends, just make one for everybody since they don't take very long.
Right. Great idea.
And definitely share them with us on hashtag cute as a button pincushion, and like, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and search the Fat Quarter Shop YouTube channel for all the Sherri McConnell's other videos. See you next time.
Thanks so much.